Hi there, my name's Charlie and I'm a freelance photographer who works in Glasgow. This is my first YouTube video and I was inspired to make this video because a while ago I was looking for some information on YouTube for a camera that I own, Bronica SQ-Ai medium format camera, and it struck me that there wasn't really anything on YouTube that touched on any of the operation of the camera from some more technical aspect. There's quite a few reviews, which is great, but nothing that, if you perhaps had the camera and you're looking to learn a bit more about it, there was nothing there of that type. So what I plan to do is, over this film and another 3, so that's 4 films, is to talk about, first of all, in this movie, just a little bit about the camera itself, what to expect from it, what its kind of idiosyncrasies are, what a medium format camera is, if you don't know what that is. Then in the second film, I'm going to talk about the controls and the operation of the camera, so how to actually use it, which, as I say, if you've not used one of these cameras before, it may not be immediately obvious. Then in the third film, I'm going to talk about how we take the camera apart, strip it down to its constituent parts, which is handy for cleaning and also gives you a better understanding of how the camera's put together. And then in the final film, just quite a short film, we will talk about how to load film into the camera, because again, if you're used to perhaps a 35mm film SLR, then the film loading process will be slightly different and maybe not apparently obvious to you. And as the old adage says, a picture is 1,000 words. It's much easier for me to make a video to show you how to do it than for you to try and read it in a manual. Anyway, I hope you enjoy these films, and I'd be interested to hear feedback on them. Thanks very much. Okay, hi there. In this film we're going to talk about the Bronica SQ-Ai medium format camera, manufactured by Bronica, who unfortunately are no longer in business, went out of business a few years ago just due to the sort of decline in medium format film sales, I guess. However, these cameras are, there's a lot of these on the market, and they're available pretty widely from second-hand dealers or on eBay or such like. It's the middle model of 3 models that Bronica made. There was a slightly smaller ETRS, which used a 6x4.5 negative. There's this, the SQ model, which shoots a 6x6cm square negative, and then it has a bigger brother, which is the GS, which shoots a 6x7 negative. ETR and the SQ are probably the more popular models. The GS never really sold as many, I don't think, as these did. Having a look at the camera, you can see, if you've ever seen a sort of the famous Hasselblad, you can see the Bronica takes quite a lot of its styling and design cues from that, and you often hear the Bronica referred to as the poor man's Hasselblad. I got this camera, bought this second hand on eBay, and I got the full camera, so that in this case is the lens, 80mm normal lens, the camera body, 1 film magazine, and the waist level finder, and I bought that in excellent second-hand condition for just over £300, and that was a good few years ago. So I don't know what the prices are like now. I can't imagine they will have gone up, though, to be honest. Also, extra film magazines, lenses, things like the finders. Because it's a modular system, you can buy these and add them to it, and all these accessories are widely available on eBay and with second-hand dealers as well at a very reasonable price. In terms of quality, the lenses on this one here has an 80mm lens. This is the normal lens, as we would call it, kind of equivalent to a 50mm lens on your 35mm SLR. Gives a similar angle of view. And this is the newer PS lens, with the newest coatings, and they really are very, very, very good optics. These are incredibly sharp images that you get from this good colour. And if you want to go out and spend 800, 900, maybe £1,000 on a second-hand Hasselblad, similar setup, and get your Carl Zeiss lens, then that's fine. But if something like this, I would challenge most people to tell the difference between a picture taken with this camera and a £1,000 Hasselblad. Okay, so the camera itself then, for those of you who don't know, it is a medium format camera, and by that I mean it uses 120 roll film, like this, roll Kodak Ektar here. bigger than your 35mm film that you'd be used to on a normal SLR. And in fact, I've got some. This is a strip of some slide film that was taken with this camera, and as you can see, it's a square negative, 6 by 6 centimeters. And if we compare that to a strip of 35mm film here, you can see it's considerably larger than the 35mm film. It's about 4 times the image size. What does that mean? Well, basically, with a larger negative comes better quality. So, you know, if you're enlarging the negative to make a print, if using the same speed of film, in 120 film, you're enlarging it less, so the grain is going to be less apparent, so you have, you know, much better image quality. And you can make a larger maximum print size from the 120 film as well. Okay, you get, as I said, it's a 6 by 6 square image. So the advantage of that is you don't actually have to turn the camera on its side to do your, you know, portrait or landscape. It is a square frame, so it's a slightly different. You know, it can take a little bit of playing, you know, a little bit of experience to, you know, to start composing to the square frame. But it's quite nice. It looks, you know, it's something a little bit different. And you can always, you know, you can always crop. You can shoot square, and you can always crop to a rectangular format if you want to. That's the great thing with the larger negative and the higher quality. Cropping into the negative is not such a big deal as it would be with 35mm. And in fact, you probably won't be able to see it, I don't think, inside here, but the focusing screen inside here actually has lines etched for portrait and landscape orientations to help you with composing in the viewfinder if you're intending to crop later on. Okay, the other advantages to this type of camera then is that because it's modular, we have these film magazines on the back which allow us to basically change film partway through a roll. So, you know, you could have a couple of these film magazines, you could have different types of film in them. You know, you might have black and white in one or colour film in the other. And, you know, halfway through, let's take the dark slide out, you're shooting away and you think, oh, you know, or maybe you've got a faster film, so you think, well, the light's dropped down, I need to change from 100 ISO film to 400. You just pop the dark slide in the back there to stop the light from getting to the film. Press down the button, take the film magazine off, and then clip another one on the back with your different film in, and you carry on shooting away. So there's no loss of film. You know, you can't really do that with a 35mm SLR. There are kind of workarounds and bodges that will allow you to change the roll of film part of the way through with 35mm camera, but to be honest, most of those methods mean you lose some of the film in the process. So this lets you do it on the fly. The other thing to note, as I said, with this waist level finder here, if we pop it up and look inside, slight idiosyncrasy. You know, if you're used to 35mm camera, looking through through a prism finder, the image is the right way up here, but it's actually reversed laterally. So if I move the camera to the right here, you can see the image in the viewfinder appears to move left, and vice versa. So that can catch you out a little bit when you first start using the camera. It takes a little bit of getting used to. But you know, if you want to, you can buy a prism finder to put on top of this, and that, you know, that will give you the right way up and right way round image. And also, when you're using you know, this waist level finder here, the camera has no built-in light meter, so you're going to need to use a separate light meter like this. This is a Sekonic Flashmate. You can buy these for under £100 second hand. You know, it does reflected and incident readings, and also has a little port to connect it to a flash system. So this does flash meter as well. So it's a good investment to have in your bag, regardless of the type of photography that you're doing. It's a handy tool to have. However, if you buy one of the prism meters, several of the prism viewfinders have meters built into them. So obviously you can add that on as an accessory if you want to as well to the camera. The other thing as well with the interchangeable film backs that are available, if you want to, you can get a Polaroid back. This is actually a Polaroid back off of a Mamiya RZ, so it's not for this camera. The only difference would be obviously the mounting for this is different, but the rest of the back would be identical. And that lets you use instant peel apart pack films like Polaroid. Obviously Polaroid don't make film anymore, but Fuji make a couple of different black and white and colour instant films that you can still are still widely available, about £10 a pack. works out about £1 a shot. So, how is using a camera like this different from using, say, a 35mm film SLR or a modern digital SLR? Well, everything about the camera really conspires to slow you down and shoot in a much more deliberate way. The camera is completely manual. There's no automation in here whatsoever. We need to set everything up by hand. We're relying on an external light meter. There's no built-in light meter. If you're using the waist level finder, you've got that, reverse viewfinder image, which can be a bit disconcerting to start with, but again helps to slow you down. Obviously, you can get around that by using a prism finder. And the main thing really is, on the 120 film that we use in this camera, in a 6x6 camera like this, we only get 12 shots per roll of film. So if you've only got 12 shots to get that picture that you're after, believe me, you're going to be a lot more careful about what you shoot, rather than, as we know with digital, the danger sometimes can be just to bam, 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 rattle away, take loads and loads of pictures and hope that amongst those pictures you take there's one that you can use. And I think that's possibly leading us down a road which is not a good place to go with our photography, possibly. So a camera like this, although it can seem a little bit complex and well, it's not really complex, it's actually very simple in its controls, but it can seem a little bit daunting because it's so different from perhaps what you've been used to, is actually creatively can be a really, really good thing to do, because, as I say, it slows you down, it makes you really think about your composition, and it makes you think, as I say, if you've only got 12 shots, you're going to think, do I really want to take this picture? Is this picture worth taking? So, as well as being fun in terms of actual, a new skill using a new piece of equipment, it's actually mentally and creatively a pretty powerful tool as well, and one that I thoroughly recommend that you try out. Okay, so that's the end of this movie. In the next movie, we're going to just talk about the actual controls of the camera and how we use those, for our picture taking. So I'll see you in the next movie. Thanks very much.